Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Joining us now from the RNC, our great friend Cassie Smedley. Cassie, good to have you with us.
Hey, Kevin, great to be with you.
Boy, a great day to be in America, a great day to support the president, yet you have a lot of Democrats, a lot of, as we call them, the devious little libs, just wanting to give us a bunch of raspberries, it seems.
Well, what else is new since President Trump really announced his candidacy, let alone won? That has been their agenda every single day, every single minute, to fight the president, to fight anyone who supports him. But yes, the Mueller report concluded very clearly there was no collusion. So now we know that many of those Democrats have spent so much time, not to mention taxpayer dollars or on taxpayer dollars, lying to the American people. And now, as your intro soundbite noted, there are a lot of people who are at high-ranking levels in the Obama administration in Justice and FBI who have a lot of explaining to do. And we heard Lindsey Graham yesterday say that he is interested in having another special counsel investigation, if we don't have a special counsel to see, but special counsel investigation to look into that. And the American people do deserve that much.
Well, and if you caught Rudy Giuliani on his numerous appearances last night, Cassie, I mean, you know, the idea of obstructing what? There was no crime. And not to recite the Sean Hannity talking points that he does so well, the bleach split, the hammers, I mean, this was actually destroying evidence. Some politicians, hopefully Senator Graham, will urge the Justice Department to look into what happened with the emails and Hillary Clinton. And if you have nothing to hide, why are you destroying a server and such?
Right, absolutely. And to look at how did we even get to the point of starting the investigation? What that was based on the phony dossier. That was the FISA warrants. We really need to look into that and that process and the potential abuses there. I think it's looking like not even potential. There were abuses there. And what does that mean to the future system? You know, I turned on the channel to a different cable news network this morning because I every now and again like to do a little bit of a gut check to see how they're talking. And I could not believe it. They had one of the people on who was very much part of the Obama administration who did not take the threat from Russia seriously. And now he's supposed to be a voice that we're supposed to listen to. But they refused to acknowledge that this was all happening long before candidate Trump was a candidate. This was happening as far back, and I'm sure before this, but 2014, that Russia was trying to interfere with our elections. And there are numerous documented instances of, again, senior level officials at the Obama administration saying, don't worry about that. They put out some symbolic gestures to make it look like they were looking into this. But there's even one account where some intelligence officials were trying to put together some counter maneuvers to block what the Russians were doing. And Susan Rice, DNI, Director of National Intelligence of the Obama administration, told them to, quote, knock it off. So this is very concerning. Democrats today would have you believe that Russians attempted to interfere in our elections in 2016, and that is directly tied to Donald Trump, despite the fact of what Mueller's report found. But no, do not be fooled. The Russians have been trying to interfere with our elections for many years, and the Obama administration was, to put it kindly, asleep at the wheel, but I think more seriously was purposely turning a blind eye to what they were doing, and that is something that the American people deserve answers on. Well,
and not only that, but what they did to James Rosen, what they did to other Americans. Mm-hmm. Look, Cassie, you worked on the Hill. You're a high-profile person. Who's to know? And we not to get to conspiracy theory, but this is reality. What the deep state will do, what files they have on people. You can go back to the enemies list by Bill Clinton and such, but this is real world stuff where your phone is monitored. James Rosen, now with Sinclair, one of the best reporters ever, still is. I mean, his parents' phone and machines were bugged, and this was going on during Obama. And then you have the emails with Hillary Clinton and the targeting of the president, targeting of other people. And, as you've pointed out and others, look, what is it, over 2,200 minutes on this fake, phony Russian probe where you had elected Democratic lawmakers, not pundits, lawmakers saying there was collusion. That's damaging our republic, ma'am.
Absolutely, and that they had evidence of collusion. Let's subpoena Adam Schiff. Where's that evidence? Because that was incredibly damaging. But truly, because he was out, he never missed an opportunity to get in front of a camera and get on Sunday shows and say this. And he's hardly walking it back now. There's been no mea culpa, let alone any gesture of remorse, I would say. But that is a very good point. And here's why it is important for us as average, everyday Americans, is that these people who do have access to this information, presumably, yes, members of Congress who get to go to classified intel briefings, yes, people in the administration who are part of the intelligence community, they have this information. We don't. So we are trusting that they are doing the right thing with this information and that they are certainly not using it to target innocent Americans. And as you mentioned, David Rosen, journalists. I mean, that is at the core of our democracy. So they got a lot of explaining to do. They have a lot of recovering to do. And by the way, journalists, quote unquote, were complicit in pushing this narrative with no facts, anonymous sourcing after anonymous sourcing, and there were no facts. And I don't recall seeing many of them yesterday saying, you know what, maybe we were over our skis because we were so excited at the prospect of this juicy story that we forgot really to practice journalistic integrity. And I think that goes all the way up to their publishers and owners, frankly.
Cassie Smedley joining us from the RNC. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. And it's funny, over the weekend you had some folks on CNN actually saying, boom, it's over, it's done. And the reaction, you would think that they had said some type of profanity, that those people were quickly given the boot and shuffled off. Getting back to what you've talked about the Russians attacking our trust in the electoral process, I think they've succeeded with this fake, phony collusion delusion story perpetrated by the libs.
Yeah, it's a great point. The Russians, I think, are over toasting themselves as well because they did what they intended to do, which was disrupt, cause discord, cause distrust. That's really what they intended to do. And they had a media that was completely complicit in their efforts. And that's another thing. Everybody said, I forget who I was talking to yesterday, but people were saying that, well, a point I would make is to say, President Trump has been saying from the very beginning, no collusion, no collusion, no collusion. And the media at every single turn called him a liar, doubted him, was complicit in letting Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler go on TV and say impeach, impeach, impeach. And yet he's been vindicated, as have Trump's supporters, who have also been endured a lot of condescending comments. And the media cannot, again, bring themselves to say, maybe we got it a little wrong. And to your point, it felt a little like the Twilight Zone because on Sunday night, for a quick blip, there were some people saying, even Joe Scarborough tweeted, take a deep breath. This is a good thing that Americans weren't part of any sort of Russia conspiracy to upend our democracy. And then that was short-lived. And they were back to just blasting Trump again. And that is sad. That is sad for our democracy, but again, for everyday Americans who count on elected officials and those in the media to play it straight and be honest with us.
Well, Cassie, $25 million. Peter Strzok, if he hadn't been found out, he'd still be on the case. All these people that had donated money to Hillary Clinton, the fix was in, supported by the media, and they could find nothing.
No. Can you imagine what you could do with $25 million? And also, to say all of that there were over 500,000 media stories on this in the last 2 years. Think of all of the time that could have been spent on, it was Kellyanne Conway who put this really so eloquently, all of the time that could have and should have been spent on the stories that affect our lives, much more so than this baseless investigation. Opioid epidemic, ISIS on the run. She was saying, she had people coming up to her and saying, I had no idea that we were really that close to getting rid of ISIS's territory. And she said, well, you would have if the media had been doing their jobs, but they haven't been covering that. That's been something that we've been working on for 2 years. Tax cuts, jobs, income going back into people's pockets, all of these things that are of actual day-to-day importance. And by the way, things that drive why people vote. The Mueller report and the Russia investigation have never, ever been anywhere in our top 5, maybe not even top 10 on some days, issues that voters care the most about. And that's, of course, a big thing that drives how we do our work at the RNC. You know what does? Not surprising, the economy, national security, immigration. Those are issues that people are saying we want our elected officials to focus on. And the Democrats have completely abdicated their roles for every minute that they have spent on this baseless investigation instead of working towards the issues that the American people and their constituents sent them there to work on.
Cassie, you bring up a great point. By the way, if you're just tuning in, Cassie Smedley joining us from the RNC, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. But you make a really good point about ISIS and how prevalent ISIS was during the 8 years of the Obama administration. Donald Trump comes in, President Trump removes the restrictive, reprehensible rules of engagement, and ISIS is done. And yet they don't cover it. In fact, they're almost cheering for ISIS, saying, no, there's a couple over there, they're not really done.
Right. And to be clear, their territory is gone. The caliphate is gone. Yes, there's ideology, crazy, heartless people in this world. But that, to your point, I don't know if you remember, but I have a vivid memory of the ISIS infiltrating Iraq, and it was just a caravan of trucks infiltrating Iraq, and it was in the bottom corner. The 24-hour news channels had it there ad nauseum, and it felt very helpless. What can we do? Because clearly this was something that we either missed or it just had gone awry in the strategy. And it felt like with Barack Obama, this was around the time of the red line as well with Syria. I mean, people were just walking all over us. It felt very helpless. It was a weird feeling as an American. And then you have President Trump who says, are you kidding me? We are America. We have the best and brightest people in our military and in our defense community who know what needs to be done. So I'm going to trust them. And now look at it. 2 years in, something that felt inevitable is now completely rolled back. And that's good. That is great for the entire world. But of course, the national security and freedom for Americans. And that is the difference here that I see, especially as we go into 2020, when you've got all these Democrats who have spent the last 2 years railing against Donald Trump. And now they've got someone put not just an egg on their face, but an omelet on their face with this Mueller investigation, that they thought this was going to be the hook, line, and sinker to President Trump's impeachment, let alone him not getting reelected. And now President Trump's going to get to stand on a debate stage against whoever they can muster to go against him. And they're going to have to go up there and answer for themselves, and he's going to go up there and he's going to tout a litany of accomplishments that he made on behalf of the American people, and accomplishments, by the way, that meet the priorities of the American people. I know that President Trump can't wait to get out of the stump and have that debate. I can't wait to watch it because the Democrats really have messed this up, I think.
Cassie, final thought, and if it's been published and I don't know, or if they haven't announced it, let me apologize in advance. The Democrats are going to have their convention in Milwaukee. Any word on where the Republicans are going to have their convention?
Yeah, we're going to be in Charlotte. We're a couple weeks after them. Because of the Olympics, there's going to be a gap. They're not going to be back-to-back weeks like they've been previously, but we'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, North Carolina is a big state for our 2020 strategy. So unlike the Dems, we announced ours way back when. So it's kind of already rolling. And the Democrats, they took a long time to get to their place. I think they had a lot of negotiating to do with all their special interests and unions, but we're glad to be in Charlotte.
Oh, home of former governor and former mayor of Charlotte, Pat McCrory, a great city, and look forward to that. Lots of barbecue and lots of NASCAR.
Yeah, that's right. I hope you can make it out for it. It should be a good time.
Cassie, you have a great day. We always appreciate you making time for us, ma'am.
Thank you for always taking the time. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, our great friend Cassie Smedley joining us from Washington, D.C. to somewhere in the Gem State. The singer known as Two Fly Bry with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
You think I'd come up with a tune about the collusion, intrusion, is nothing but a delusion, something like that. Dude, this is just the Republicans or the, the Democrats, wherever it's our national party just working itself each election cycle. They brought this around to help put a little more flavor into whatever, to mix things up and put the House back over the other half side of the national party we have. There's also, something to hide the true treasonous actions that are occurring. And yes, I do say they are treasonous. The banning of bump stocks, which is an infringement on the direct infringement on the Second Amendment, that banning was put directly in place by your favored, the Donald Trump. And that's what I'm saying is what's wrong, is that they want to cover up a treasonous act. That's one thing. And you said the other day that the truth is finally out. Yesterday you did. I would say that would be the incorrect. I say that it's finally out that the lies that have been continually perpetuated have been finally revealed. And I think the truth all along is that there was no involvement with Trump. I do agree with that. But I think that the real bigger thing is that this is just proof of the national party we have, and also it hides up things of treasonous acts of infringing upon our rights as citizens that they have. That's what I'm concluding it is. But I'll tell you what, Pence is a pretty good speaker on the Sean Hannity show yesterday. That was just rock solid right there. Love listening to your show in that regard.
I'm glad you approve.
You bet. Enjoy the week, sir.
Don't be a stranger.
I shan't. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Coming up next, we'll break down the cost of the Mueller report, plus Idaho going hemp. Despite our pleas, it looks like the state may make that happen. Your call's next. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. All right, Dave Ramsey, don't forget that Glenn Beck after us. Breaking down the Mueller report here. 22 months, 19 lawyers. Most of them worked for Hillary Clinton. Most of them were the libs. Most of them gave money to the Clinton. The hardest of the hardcore libs, including Peter Strzok, who was fired because he investigated Hillary Clinton. He was the one that said, we've got to have a backup plan against Donald Trump, having an affair with Lisa Page. Is there something else we forgot about Peter Strzok? Oh, that's right. He called us all stinky Walmart deplorables. 40 FBI agents, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 search warrants, 500 witnesses, and nothing. This is nothing to celebrate. The idea that you could have somebody, a foreign agent, put together something, as our friend Sean Hannity on KIDO Talk Radio disclosed, based on some report from CNN, you had people saying, like Bruce Orr, saying this is not credible, and because of the hate, because of the envy, because of the fear, because of overturning Obama's America, they knew they had to take out Trump. Could you imagine being Paul Manafort? You sign up with the Trump campaign for 3 or 4 months, it doesn't work out, and now your life is in jail for possibly the rest of your life. They break into your house. There are great people involved in law enforcement. Wonderful people. This is not a good day for the leadership in the Department of Justice. By the way, the media, 2,284 minutes on the Russian probe. Amazing. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio.
I'm just Channel 7's Eric Everett.
Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. If you haven't heard the 2 years of bunking, we're going to debunk them now. Just as soon as last week, you had people saying that Donald Trump would be hauled away in handcuffs. How can that benefit the great republic that is the United States of America?
I wouldn't be surprised if, for example, this week on Friday, he is going to be delivering what I think are going to be his indictments, the final indictments.
I would not be surprised if there were a number of indictments that still were going to come down the pike.
There are indictments in this president's future.
That's a bombshell.
The bombshell.
This bombshell.
Drop the bombshell.
Bombshell accusation.
Bombshell accusation.
This is evidence of willingness to commit collusion.
If this BuzzFeed News report is true, then we are likely on our way to possible impeachment proceedings.
If this story is true, we must begin impeachment proceedings.
This is suborning perjury. I think there's no question it's an impeachable offense.
And at that point, we are in high crimes and misdemeanor, and we are in impeachment territory.
Right.
This president needs to be impeached.
Impeachment is the remedy. I mean, the president can't...
It's the only remedy.
The spirit of what Trump did is clearly treasonous.
This is moving into perjury, false statements, and even into potentially treason.
There's
outright treason. I mean, there is no question.
I think he's feeling the noose around his neck.
The noose is tightening.
And I think they're shocked that the noose is tightening.
He feels the noose is tightening.
The noose is tightening.
The sound of hoofbeats of all those investigations catching up with Donald Trump must be loud in his ears.
He may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
People might go to jail
You're exactly right.
for the rest of their lives.
I think they're all going to jail. Well, I think they're all going to end up together in prison, and maybe that's a good thing. God.
He has no idea that he's going down.
You're confident that at least some Trump associates will wind up in jail?
If I was betting, I would say yes.
Donald Trump Jr. gave us the dots. All we have to do is to connect them to see where this is going.
Well, nobody's cheering now, are they? Nobody's cheering now when you have people rooting against the lawfully elected president of the United States. 2 years, 2,284 minutes dedicated to the Russian collusion delusion probe, over $25 million spent. 22 months, 19 lawyers, 40 FBI agents, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 search warrants, 500 witnesses, and what do they have to show for it? How about we investigate them? How about we investigate them? Folks, we have come perilously close to watching a coup happen right before our eyes. This is scary stuff. And if we do not continue to inform ourselves to make the right decisions, we could see that happen here in Idaho with the crazy libs. We could see that happen across the country as they want to get rid of the Electoral College. So states like California, Texas, and New York can decide to elect Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama 2. It's not over yet. We'll talk more about it. We'll take your calls. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning. Don't forget the KIDO Talk Radio app. Very easy to get. It's free. You can go to the App Store. You can go to Google Play. Check it out today, KIDO Talk Radio app. You'll get a lot of notifications. And unlike some of the decadent jabroni, cavity-filled radio stations that just spam you all the time with, hey, look at this, look at that, we don't do that on the app. Again, just real news, real talk about the issues that matter to you. If you want to check out the podcasts or some of the latest blogs while it's on your phone, boom, it's there. Plus your digital dashboard, the KIDO Talk Radio app. And sometimes we have some special deals there as well. Joining us now from New York, before we get back to your phone calls, Fox News Radio's Tanya J. Powers. Talk a little bit about the news of interest, as always. Of course, KIDO Talk Radio, your home for Fox News, your exclusive home for Fox News here in the Treasure Valley. Good morning.
Good morning.
The bump stock ban goes into effect. We've already had some people calling in, very concerned about this. Some people have said that it's unconstitutional. This, regardless of where you fall on the issue, is a very attention-getting news story.
It is an attention-getting news story, and as of today, according to the Justice Department's rule that they made in December, they gave everyone 90 days to either destroy or turn in their bump stock. If you hear somebody say, oh, well, mine's grandfathered in because I bought it before a certain time, that's not a thing. According to the Justice Department, you have to either, like I said, get rid of it or you have to destroy it, and today is the deadline for that.
Right, and I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in quite some time, have we? Where you just have to turn something in.
Not that I can really remember. I mean, this all started after the Las Vegas massacre, where 58 people died and hundreds of others were hurt. Stephen Paddock opened fire on those people at that music festival in Las Vegas, and that is where this all kind of came under scrutiny because he used a bump stock to be able to fire that many rounds in that short a period of time. And, a bump stock uses the recoil from, the bouncing of the rifle off the shooter's shoulder, and it basically is it's a thing that replaces the standard stock and grip of a semi-automatic rifle. So it makes that, bouncing, it kind of makes the trigger bump back into the, trigger finger, so to speak, and it keeps firing. And so that's why after the Las Vegas massacre, the president vowed to outlaw these. And at his direction, the Justice Department in March of last year proposed this rule that basically clarified that bump stocks were not accessories or just parts, that they were, in fact, machine guns. And that's not illegal to own. So that is why, as of December, they said, okay, we're going to give you 90 days to destroy them or get rid of them. And as for how many are out there, that's a really good question. They're not sure how many people actually own one. They can tell us that, by their estimates, over 500,000 people have actually bought them. So that kind of gives you a ballpark estimate.
Yeah, we'll see how many people destroy them or turn them in, and how effective this ban is.
Well, if you have possession of a bump stock and you don't do the required, turning it in or destroying it, that's like having possession of a machine gun, and it's punishable by fines and up to 10 years in prison.
No, that's no fun.
No, that does not sound like a big time.
Tanya J. Powers, anything else you'd like to share with us today?
Oh, that's about it.
Yeah, you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News Radio, only on KIDO Talk Radio. Our phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Yesterday, a couple days ago, you had Sarah Sanders going up against Savannah Guthrie. Let's take a listen to this and more of your phone calls.
Now, to publicly support, maybe even authorize the release of this underlying Mueller report. Will he do so?
I think that the president is doing exactly what he should, and that's leaving that decision into the hands of the attorney general, and we'll see what decision he makes on that front.
Well, last week he said, let it come out. And, of course, there was a bipartisan vote in the House to release publicly the Mueller report itself. So he's already on the record. So does he or does he not support the public release of this?
Look, I don't think the president has any problem with it. He has been the most transparent, accessible president we've seen in modern history. This is a person who loves to engage with the media, takes questions day in, day out. He's more than happy for any of this stuff to come out because he knows exactly what did and what didn't happen. And now, frankly, the rest of America knows. They know there was no collusion. They know there was no obstruction. And it's a complete and total exoneration
If that's
of the president.
case, is he willing to, for example, waive any claim of executive privilege so that, again, this could be...
Let's pause this for a minute. Savannah Guthrie is a Democratic operative. Savannah Guthrie, well, they call it a Q rating in television, where your likability. She's worked very hard to have this likability, but she was a Bulldog reporter on Capitol Hill for years, worked her way up. Now she's kind of like Katie Couric with a legal background. She's an attorney. Savannah Guthrie, shame on you for misleading the public. You know that the grand jury testimony, even slappy Kevin Miller knows that the grand jury testimony cannot be released. Other issues, per the Department of Justice statutes, the special prosecutor statute, you can't release everything. And instead of acknowledging that you and your colleagues and your acolytes on MSNBC, the Today Show, CNN, Jeff Zucker, and the band of usual suspects, acknowledge that you were wrong and owning up to it like a real person does. Now, what do they teach us in church? That humility is the way that Christ taught us in this Lenten Easter season. Christ humbled himself. Do you see the media humbling themselves? So instead of acknowledging that Mueller wasted $25 million, subpoenas, 40 FBI agents, how many lawyers to try and take down a president that was lawfully elected, that you and others in the media laughed at. So now we're going to make up this big fake phony issue that we need to release everything.
Made public.
I'm not going to get into the weeds on executive privilege. That's a determination, again, that the Attorney General and White House counsel's office would have to make, because they do want to protect individual Americans, and they also want to protect the office of the presidency. This is something, frankly, that should never have happened. This is a 2-year waste of taxpayer time and dollars. They spent over $25 million on this just to find out that there was nothing there. This should never happen to another president, and we want to make sure that the institution of the president is protected.
Well, let's be clear about what this report, what this letter is and what it isn't. It is an exoneration, a legal exoneration with regard to conspiracy or...
What else is there? What else is there? It is a legal exoneration. That's it. Game over. Right? 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
Collusion. As to this issue of whether the president obstructed justice in this investigation, the special counsel doesn't say, and in fact makes a point to say this report does not conclude the president committed a crime. It also does not exonerate him. So would you acknowledge it is incorrect for the president to call this a total exoneration?
Not at all. It is. It is a complete and total exoneration, and here's why. Because the special counsel, they said they couldn't make a decision one way or the other. The way the process works is then they leave that up to the Attorney General. The Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General went through and based their decision on Mueller's investigation. This wasn't based on just their own ideas and their own thinking. It was based on Mueller's investigation.
In point of fact, you have a special counsel because that person is supposed to be independent and supposed to make this legal judgment. In this case, for whatever reason, Mueller didn't. Attorney General Barr took it upon himself to issue a legal conclusion. And some critics are saying, wait a minute. He didn't take it upon himself. That was his duty. And here's what the devious little libs do. They say, well, you know, some critics know that's Savannah Guthrie. Savannah, woman up and tell everybody what you really feel. A minute. Is this on the level? He did it in 48 hours, and he wrote a memo 8 months ago, in June last year, stating there wasn't an obstruction of justice case. So the criticism is, here's a guy making a snap judgment who had already made up his mind about the case, and it's on the record.
It's not a snap judgment. This is anybody that knows Attorney General Barr, including a number of Democrats who have known him for decades and have talked about what a great individual he is and how highly respected he is in the legal community. He takes his job seriously, but let's be clear. It wasn't that he took this upon himself. That's the process of the law. When the special counsel couldn't make a decision, couldn't make a final determination, they refer that to the Attorney General to...
She's right. But you see how the devious little libs, the DLL, the libs of the media, the Today Show, almighty Savannah Guthrie blatantly lied right there. It's the process. Pro-Life joins us now with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Hello, Pro-Life.
Yeah, you know, people like Savannah Guthrie, they need to just hear from, the press secretary just say, listen, I'm not talking to you anymore because you're twisting the facts and you're lying, so this interview's over. That's what the kind of stuff needs to happen. And but anyway, the real problem is the Republicans.
Now, every day you beat up on the Republicans.
Yeah. Now,
what about the libs?
Well, listen.
Where's your equal time to beat up on the libs?
Well, they're terrible. I mean, they're crooked and lying, and but if the Republicans, they never discipline the libs. Okay, now, have you heard from any people from Idaho saying, listen, we need an investigation probably through the Senate because nothing can happen in the House of Representatives. But we're calling for an investigation of this whole thing, and we want real punishment and justice for these people lying like this. And but you're not going to hear that. The Republicans are just going to go wimp off. And, you had guys
what do you mean they're going to go wimp off?
Okay, a U.S. Senator right now, Risch or Crapo, our two congressmen, Fulcher and Simpson, they could be saying publicly, Mr. Whoever in the Judiciary Committee of the U.S. Senate.
That'd be Senator Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, or maybe some other committee that has the ability to investigate this kind of stuff. We want this stuff in there now. We want to find out about all of this. We want it public, and we want some discipline. And you're going to tell the Attorney General to go after these people. That's not for the Attorney General to decide. The President can do that, and he's already asked for that. The President is the only Republican that I've heard publicly say we need to go after these people. And do you hear anybody else echo that? No. They're all a bunch of wimps. If we didn't have this President, we'd just be totally run over by these
By the
Devious little
libs. By the devious little libs.
I know. They're very, very devious, and you have to beat them back and tell them that they're crooked and lying and evil people, because they are. So,
well, let me say this. If there are any people, Congress is home, what would you say to those guys directly, all of them?
I'd say
maybe they're listening.
Yeah, they need to be listening, and they always need to listen to the Kevin Miller Show, but they need to say something publicly. I mean, say if you're in the House of Representatives, like Mr. Fulcher, he's my representative, he could say publicly right now, listen, this needs to be investigated. All of these people that were in the Justice Department, the FBI, they need to get punished for this. It needs to be totally exposed that they're big liars. But he's not saying that. He could have said it. I mean, it's been 2 days. I mean, how many more days? I mean, if all of the callers call in and say this, but, if just pro-life says it, hey, that doesn't count. I don't know.
I'm just glad you gave it to the libs for once. You always beat up on the Republicans.
Well, hey, the libs are so far out of it, why even mention it? They need to all be in jail. They're such big liars.
You want to jail the libs.
Listen, yeah. Well,
I see.
Well, anyway, free speech does not give you the right to lie. Nobody gets, only God says in the Ten Commandments, do not lie. And, but we, in our government, we're so mixed up and upside down. We say that free speech, you can lie. Maybe when you get to court and if you take the oath of telling the truth, well, then you can't lie. But other than that, just go ahead and lie. That's just our culture.
My goodness gracious, you're certainly a glass half empty today.
Yeah. I'm 3/4 full. Well, anyway.
I'll see ya.
All right.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. So here we have it. The networks gave 2,284 minutes to the Russian probe. The Russian collusion delusion probe, over $25 million spent to find absolutely nothing. 22 months, 19 lawyers, 40 FBI agents, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 search warrants, 500 witnesses, and anyone that's been involved in the legal process knows that you can spend yourself into bankruptcy defending yourself. I mean, which way would you rather go? Through the medical system or the legal system when it comes to the road to financial ruin? And unlike the medical system, where that happens because of genetics or an accident, this is brought on by our own government destroying average citizens. And as we said, if they could do this to Donald Trump, imagine what they could do to us and have done to us. I'd love to hear from you next, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. It's time to take a look at prosecuting the libs. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Your daily antidote to the liberal indoctrination, the anti-collusion delusion, right here, Kevin Miller in the morning. KIDO Talk Radio, phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We could go on and on about how wrong they are, how they continue to attack the President of the United States. Rudy Giuliani, who has been ripped by so many of the president's critics, went on the Cuomo show lately and said, look, you owe the president an apology. You owe the president an apology. And they didn't. They refused. They refused to acknowledge all the money wasted, $25 million and everything else. I love this. The same media that blasted the Ken Starr report for going too far now all of a sudden is saying, well, Mueller did not go far enough. I don't know what you can do about the media except selfishly support Sean Hannity, Kevin Miller. By the way, I want to thank Sean for being at the forefront of the president's defense. I want to thank everybody that believed the Miller militia, people listen to KIDO Talk Radio, because it wasn't easy when you have, all these people believing a lie, irresponsibly repeating speculation. If it's one thing that we accomplish in our time here in the Treasure Valley, whether it's long or whether it's short, is to improve the critical thinking process that is so needed now more than ever. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, traffic and weather together.